Hey, it's Nicole. If you're interested in watching this video, hopefully it's because you want to better yourself and all those stutterers out there by getting educated on how stuttering works and why stutterers are normal people too. So let's get right to it. At some point in your life, it is likely that you will meet a person who has a stutter or some sort of communication disorder. When first talking to them, you may be caught by surprise, but for many people, stuttering is simply a way of life that they have adapted to. A typical thought of someone who is not familiar with a stutter would be to wonder, are they nervous? Can they not decide what they want to say? Why do they talk different than I do? These are all logical questions, but it is important to understand that the stutterer may not even know exactly why they stutter. For years now, the answer to most has been there is not one cause for stuttering, but that simply does not provide enough information for any person to reach closure. But now, prepare to be blown away because I am here to tell you that stuttering is a perfectly normal occurrence. It is something that happens on a regular basis to 1% of the world's population. Think about the 3 million people in the United States that struggle with the stereotype that they are too different from other people to get hired for their dream job, get a role in the lead play, present in front of their class, or even make new friends. Before some of you young people out there start drawing conclusions about the potential of a stutterer, remember that all people are different. Everyone has different strengths and weaknesses. Some children may be able to run very fast, and some may not. Research has been done, and a lot of information has been found about stuttering. First off, you need to know that there is not just one simple explanation for why someone stutters, because of course, that would just be way too simple. Turns out, stuttering is caused by a combination of both physical and mental components. There are many psychological and physiological factors. If you're hearing this and thinking, what is she talking about? Psychological, physiological, what's the difference? Well, let me just tell you. According to a journal article written about stuttering by Gordon Neal, the psychological side is everything that is stored within a person, like beliefs, association of encouragement, memory of events, and face recognition. It can easily relate to the mental and emotional state of a person. Physiological, on the other hand, has to do with functions of a person or just the physical aspect of the biology of a person's nervous system. So, to sum it all up, it is not just the body or just the mind that causes someone to stutter. It is a combination of both. Let's get into some of the physiological factors. First off, genetics. You look like your parents, and whether you want to believe it or not, a lot of your traits and actions come from your parents. So, due to the effects of genetics, and according to scientist Larry Molt's findings, if you have family members that stutter, you are more likely to have a stutter at some point in your life. There are many traits and physical factors causing that relative to stutter, which are then passed down throughout generations. Many researchers from one study conducted by Dr. Ann Foundis found differences in the structure of the language centers in the brain of people that stutter. A stutterer's brain tends to be structured and wired differently than those that do not. These are abnormalities in a person's anatomy, but not in their personality. Some children with speech disorders, like a stutter, may need to work in a different environment with some extra help. This does not mean that they are not as smart as others. It simply means that they learn and understand differently. 5 researchers concluded that at a young age, it is harder for children who stutter to adjust to new conditions and stay focused for a period of time. They are also known to have a more negative quality of mood. So, it certainly does not boost their confidence and make them happier when their peers make fun of them. At some point, I'm sure you've learned or will soon learn about the right and the left hemisphere of the brain. The right hemisphere controls the creative and imaginative side of a person, while the left hemisphere controls the science and mathematics in a person's brain. As found on the National Stuttering Association website, stutterers have more brain activation in their right hemisphere. This allows them to be stronger and more creative with projects, and may be the reason why it is more difficult for them to process and excel in logical aspects. Always remember though, every person has different strengths and weaknesses. Even stutters can achieve their goals. Now, switching gears. The psychological factors. They contribute to someone's stuttering just as much. There is an underlying difference in the way a stutterer processes speech. As stated in an educational video about stuttering, this is not a bad thing. It simply means that the way the brain turns thoughts into speech can be pushed out of balance. There are many things that can trigger a stutter due to how the brain is working and in what environment. A person may not stutter often, but situations like presenting or reading to the class can be scary. Just like another person, the goal is to produce fluent speech with minimal errors, but that's a lot of pressure and stress on the brain, and it is likely to cause a stutter or multiple of them. This also takes a toll on someone's emotional side and affects how they're feeling. Being nervous, excited, or scared can cause someone stuttering to occur. A neuroscientist who studies how the brain, spinal cord, and nervous system works found that the brain of people who stutter produce and form speech sounds differently. When they scanned their brains with special equipment, it showed that the stutterers are missing a branch of connections in their brain. This may sound scary, but it basically just tells you that your brain works a little bit different than someone who stutters because they're made differently. There are so many factors that contribute to a person's stutter. The body and mind work together to create fluent speech, but that can easily be thrown off. Everyday occurrences, family genes, trauma, or just a little stage fright are all factors depending on the person, but there is not just one particular thing that causes a person to stutter. Let's look at the big picture here. When you hear a person stutter, what is your first thought? If it's to judge them, to think that they aren't capable of what you are, or to laugh, stop right there. Because a person who stutters should be treated no different. Their brain may function differently, but they are still capable of whatever they put their mind to. Everyone is unique in their own way. You may have a hidden talent. Someone else may be able to speak with a different language. A different person might be able to hold their breath for a long time. No matter what it is unique to that specific person. Just like all of these things, a person with a stutter is unique for the way they speak, but this does not mean that they don't have any other special talents. They are different and cool for their stutter, but don't necessarily want to be known just for that. So remember that. Remember the special talent or something that you both have in common and make that be known rather than just the fact that they stutter. Next time you interact with a person that stutters, compliment them for something that really matters, something that would make them smile, and be that person that made them feel like they were more than just a person that stutters. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned that stutterers are normal people too.